I never thought a random act of kindness could shift the course of my life, but that's exactly what happened one rainy night about 3 years ago. I was living alone in a small apartment downtown, juggling a boring office job and honestly feeling a little stuck. That evening, the rain was relentless, the kind that drenches you within seconds of stepping outside. I was coming back from the grocery store when I noticed a man standing near the entrance of my building. He didn't look threatening, just exhausted, soaked to the bone, and shivering. He caught my eye and asked in the most hesitant voice if I knew of any nearby shelters. His clothes were thin, his shoes falling apart, and he looked like he hadn't had a proper rest in days. I didn't know of any shelters close by, and for a split second, I debated whether I should just say sorry and keep walking. But something about his eyes, the mix of defeat and hope, made me pause. Before I could overthink it, I asked if he wanted to come in to warm up for a bit. When he stepped into my apartment, the smell of rain and street lingered on him. I gave him a towel, some dry clothes I had from an old roommate, and offered him the couch. He thanked me so many times it felt unnecessary, but I could tell he meant every word. I cooked us a simple meal of pasta and eggs. He ate like it was the first proper meal he'd had in a while, apologizing between bites for eating so fast. His name was Daniel. He told me bits and pieces of his story that night, how he had moved to the city with dreams of finding work, but things went wrong, how he lost a job due to downsizing, and how one setback led to another, until he couldn't afford rent anymore. He didn't make excuses, didn't blame anyone, just laid it out plainly. I let him crash on my couch for the night, thinking that would be it. But the next morning, when I woke up, he was already awake, having folded the blanket neatly, cleaned the few dishes from dinner, and even left a note thanking me. He was about to leave when I offered him breakfast. That's how a single night turned into a week. Over that week, I got to know him better. He had studied computer science, but had to drop out when his father got sick. He never managed to go back and finish. Despite his situation, he was incredibly smart, resourceful, and surprisingly funny. My evenings were no longer lonely because we'd sit, eat, and talk for hours. One day, I asked if he wanted to use my laptop to look for jobs. He hesitated, but eventually he agreed. He spent hours updating his resume and applying everywhere he could. Watching him reminded me of my own frustrations at work. I was stuck in a dead-end position, doing something I didn't love. His determination started rubbing off on me. After 2 weeks, Daniel landed an interview for a junior tech support role. He didn't have the best suit, so I lent him one of mine. He came back later that day with the biggest smile on his face. They had hired him. The pay wasn't great, but it was enough for him to start rebuilding his life. I thought that would be the end of our time together, but he insisted on staying in touch. Over the next few months, we became genuine friends. He'd often stop by with groceries, and we'd cook together. Slowly, I started realizing that helping him had also pulled me out of my own rut. Inspired by his persistence, I started applying to new jobs myself. I dusted off skills I hadn't used in years and began freelancing on the side. 6 months later, I landed a job in digital marketing that I actually enjoyed. I don't think I would have had the courage if I hadn't seen Daniel push forward, despite everything he'd gone through. Fast forward to today, Daniel is not only doing well, but has gone back to school part-time to finish his degree. He's renting his own place now, but we still meet every week like clockwork. Sometimes we laugh about how strange it is that we met on that random rainy night. My friends joke that I should be more careful about letting strangers in, but honestly, I don't regret it for a second. Daniel turned out to be one of the most genuine, hardworking people I've ever met. The bond we've built feels like family. That single act of kindness didn't just help him, it changed me. I stopped living on autopilot and started taking risks. I learned that sometimes people just need one chance, one helping hand, to turn things around. And sometimes, offering that hand gives you exactly what you need, too. Looking back, I realized that night wasn't about me saving Daniel. It was about us saving each other in different ways. And it all started because I chose not to walk away when it would have been so easy to. To this day, whenever it rains, I'm reminded of how a soaked stranger on my doorstep became one of the most important people in my life,